لصيغة بتاعكم الكبير في آي راديو من حيث الأخبار والمعلومات. صيغة بتاعك في آي راديو ذات من صيغة الصحفيين عشان يلتزموا بنشر أخبار وبرامج الموزونة، ذات مصداقية للإعلام والتصغيف والترفيه. نتيجة للكلام ده وصل عدد متابعين آي راديو لأكثر من 17 مليون نفر في فيسبوك حسب مقاييس فيسبوك في السنوات الثلاث الفات، عدد أكبر من عدد سكان جنوب السودان. وللحصول على تحليل إخباري مفصل قم بزيارة موقع آي راديو الإلكتروني www.iradio.org.
Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, good morning. This is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. President Salva Kiir on Monday issued a presidential decree relieving the Minister of Interior, the Governor of Lake State, and the Director General of the External Security Bureau, alongside several other senior officials, and appointed new officials to key government and security positions. The United Nations mission in South Sudan has urged South Sudanese leaders to cease hostilities, de-escalate tensions, and advance reconciliation and peace through inclusive dialogue under the framework of the peace agreement. And on the African soil, armed gangs have kidnapped 160 people attending two churches in Nigeria's Kaduna State, according to local police. These stories and more coming to in this news bulletin with me, Lasuba Memo. And now the news in detail. President Salva Kiir on Monday issued a presidential decree relieving the Minister of Interior, the Governor of Lake State, and the Director General of the External Security Bureau of the National Security Service, along several other senior officials, and appointed new officials to key government and security positions. In a decree broadcast on the state media, President Kiir relieved Angelina Tenj as Minister of Interior, Ring Twenj Mabor as Governor of Lake State, and General Thoy Chan Ried as Director General of the External Security Bureau. Other officials relieved include Labour Minister James Hothmai, Human Resource and Development Minister Dagduo Bichok, Dr. Nadia Arob Dudi, Minister of Culture, Museum and National Heritage, and Deng John Angok, Deputy Governor of Upper Nile State. President Kiir appointed General Aliu Ayany Aliu as the new Minister of Interior, Madang Majok as Governor of Lake State, and General Abraham Kiat Bichok as Director General of the External Security Bureau. Additional appointments include Ezekiel Lol Gatkoth as Minister of Public Service, Anthony Lino Makana as Minister of Labor, Sarah Nyanath Elijah Young as Minister of Culture, Museum and National Heritage, and Deng Akwe Kak as Deputy Governor of Upper Nile State. The changes took effect immediately, according to the decree. Meanwhile, President Salva Kiir and Vice President Dr. James Wanega reiterated their unwavering commitment to addressing the current challenges facing the country, including security, economic, and preparations for the upcoming polls. According to the statement from the Office of the President, the two leaders announced this in a meeting held at the presidency on Monday, where they discussed the current political, security, and economic situation in the country. They emphasized on the importance of achieving stability ahead of the much anticipated general elections due in December this year. Dr. Ega, who also chairs the economic cluster, briefed President Kiir on the just concluded Mondare Cultural Festival, describing it as a vital forum that promotes unity, peaceful coexistence among communities, with the government rallying people behind peace and reconciliation. Vice President Wanega, who also served as SPLM First Deputy Chairman, also updated the President on internal matters of the SPLM party, focusing on organizational issues critical in strengthening the party's role in South Sudan's political process. The meeting came at a time when the government endeavors to consolidate peace and guide the country towards the trajectory of peace and a prosperous future. The United Nations mission in South Sudan has urged South Sudanese leaders to cease hostilities, de-escalate tensions, and advance reconciliation and peace through inclusive dialogue under the framework of the 2018 peace agreement. In a statement by the mission dated January 2026, UNMISS said it is deeply concerned by reports of significant military confrontations between armed forces aligned with the main parties to the peace agreement in Jonglei and Eastern Equatoria State. It said the surge in violence, which includes aerial bombardments of civilian areas, comes in the aftermath of efforts to diverge from the peace framework established by the revitalized peace agreement. The mission quoted its officer in charge, Kiki Beho, as saying, and I quote, "South Sudan's leaders reiterated their commitment to peace and inclusive dialogue during this week's visit by the African Union ad hoc high-level committee. Therefore, UNMISS urges them to make true on that commitment by immediately ceasing hostilities, de-escalating tensions, and advancing reconciliation and peace through inclusive dialogue under the framework of the peace agreement." End quote. Beho added that a strong leadership and decisive consensus-based action is needed now more than ever to prevent the current crisis from deepening and ensuring that the peace and prosperity so richly deserved by the people of South Sudan is finally delivered. This is iRadio Morning News, and now to the international scene. Armed gangs have kidnapped dozens of people attending two churches in Nigeria's Kaduna State. That's according to the local police. A senior church leader said more than 160 worshippers were abducted by gunmen during Sunday service. It is the latest mass kidnapping in Nigeria, where both Christians and Muslims have been targeted. Gangs, known locally as bandits, frequently carry out such attacks in northern and central parts of the country to get ransom payments. Describing Sunday's attack, local police said gunmen armed with sophisticated weapons burst into the two churches in Kormin Wali, a forest community in Afogo ward, at about 11:25 local time. Donald Trump has vowed to 100% follow through on his threat to impose tariffs on European countries who oppose his demand to take control of Greenland. European allies have rallied around Greenland's sovereignty. Denmark's foreign minister emphasized the U.S. president cannot threaten his way to ownership of the semi-autonomous Danish territory. UK Foreign Secretary Viette Cooper reiterated the UK's position that the future of Greenland is for Greenlanders and for the Danes alone to decide. On Monday, Trump declined to rule out the use of force and insisted he would press ahead with the threatened tariffs on goods arriving in the U.S. from the UK and 7 other NATO allied countries. Asked by NBC News if he would use force to seize Greenland, Trump answered no comment. This is iRadio Morning News, and to end this bulletin, here's a recap of the headlines. President Salva Kiir issued a presidential decree relieving the Minister of Interior, the Governor of Lake State, and the Director General of the External Security Bureau alongside several other senior officials, and appointed new officials to key government and security positions. The United Nations mission in South Sudan has urged South Sudanese leaders to cease hostilities, de-escalate tensions, and advance reconciliation and peace through inclusive dialogue under the framework of the 2018 peace agreement. And elsewhere, armed gangs have kidnapped 160 people attending two churches in Nigeria's Kaduna State, according to the local police. That's the end of iRadio Morning News. If there is a story or an event you'd like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message at +211-925-28770. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page iRadio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for the news in Arabic at 8 o'clock. I'm Lasuba